Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast. My name is Coach Scott. I'll be your host today. I got a great show for you guys today. I got another great guest. I'm going to bring her on in just a moment. Really inspiring guest today. Can't wait to talk to her. As always, you can find this in the back episodes of our podcast at our website, ordinarymarathoner.com. Check it out if you get a chance. You can also find them at the aggregators, places like Stitcher, TuneIn, iTunes, Google Podcasts, all that good stuff. If you like the show, hit the subscribe button. Never miss a new episode that way. You can also check out our YouTube channel. Trying to grow that sucker out. We put up a video last week of our upcoming Super Bowl pool. We're doing a box pool. You got to run to get a box, though, and you got to be a member of Team Ordinary. So if you're not a member of Team Ordinary, go to teamordinary.com. Check that out. You get a nice shirt, a nice hat, and you get to do all our good, fun stuff like our Super Bowl box pool. And if you register by the Super Bowl, which you really want to register before the Super Bowl because you want to be able to get your box, and use the coupon code SUPER. And see how that works? You get $5 off a registration for Team Ordinary. So look forward to having you join the team. The team's been going really great. We're approaching 70 members. It's really growing out nicely. And you get all kinds of cool stuff. You get your own athlete profile page. Our guest today, I think, has one. And you get to put all your races on our race calendar so that we mention them on the podcast. Anyway, that being said, let's just bring her in right now because she's really got a great story to tell. I'm sure. I don't know the story. I'm going to get it out of her. But I've seen her on social media, and she's very inspiring to me, at least. So let's bring her in right now. Tamra Johnson, welcome to the show.
Hi, everybody.
I got to tell you, so you're part of Team Ordinary, which I really appreciate. And, I've seen you out there running and going after races, and I know that there's a story here, but I do want to talk about this weekend first, so I can give a flavor of where the story is going to go. Congratulations, you finished a 100K this weekend.
Thank you.
And it's such an amazing accomplishment. And I, I'm kind of one of those guys who I see people on the internet, and some of them I kind of mark and I go, that person's working hard, and that person's got a goal. And I've seen you doing races before, and we have a common connection, Dan Demore, who's been on the podcast before. So I've seen you kind of on his page before, and I'm like, that lady's doing something special. And, congratulations. It's how did you feel? I mean, how much are you still riding the wave today?
Oh yeah, I mean, totally ugly cried. Got it out of my system.
I'm surprised you still don't have your medal on.
Well, I do have it.
It's right
there. Got it by next week. Don't you get to wear it for like 3 weeks?
You can wear it as long as you want. You can wear it as long as you want. It's well earned for sure. And this for you, I mean, it seems like it's been, you tried this a couple times, right?
Yes, I did.
So what attempt was this?
This is my third time.
Third attempt. And
yes.
Man, so there's a story here.
I had a goal to get this done before I turned 50, and I turned 50 in March. So I squeaked it in.
March 19th? That's me.
24th.
Oh, all right.
Close enough.
We're close. I think we're different zodiac signs, but that's okay. So now that we know, so I wanted, like I said, I wanted to kind of tease the finish because, obviously now you're saying that this was a goal for you for a while and you wanted to finish it by the time you're 50. When did running start for you?
I did my first 5K in the fall of 2016.
Okay.
So I'm a late bloomer runner. I'm not.
But you did a 5K in 2016 and now it's 2020 and you did a little longer than that.
Yeah, just a little bit.
So was it, so when you started running, was it, what drew you to running? What brought you there to begin with? What makes somebody say, just wake up and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to do a 5K soon. I'm going to get ready for this and I'm going to do it.
Well, I had spent most of my life, extremely overweight. Then when the kids left the house, the whole empty nest syndrome happened and I'm like, I need a hobby. And, I'm like, running's cheap. Yeah. Now I know it's not cheap, but back then I thought it was. I'm like, so there was a little, the pumpkin run, the Great Pumpkin Run. So was in town. And I'm like, I'm going to try to do that. So I started like a lot of people of, plus size runners, make it to the mailbox, then go a little further, make it to the light, and then go a little further. And pretty soon I was like, hey, I can do this. So I signed up for my race and did my 5K and got my medal. And I was like, oh, I'm so hooked. And it kind of got me out of my scared. I'd spent a lot of time that my life was taking care of my kids, and I didn't have my own group of friends. So I started geocaching. I don't know if you know what that is.
I don't.
You use a GPS and you find Tupperware boxes in the woods.
Oh, okay.
And so I met a lot of, I kind of got me out into a social setting where I was like, everything I do is going to be exercise related. I'm going to just keep moving. I mean, I'm going to be there, for myself and just start this new chapter in my life. And so the next thing I know, I see this ad for an ultra race, which I didn't know what an ultra race was, had no clue.
Right.
And it said that you could do a team, and it was 100 miles, and it was age weighted. Okay. So you really didn't have to run 100 miles if you could find like a 70-year-old that took off like 20 miles. So I found, me and a bunch of my little geocaching friends, I'm like, we had figured it out that, I was the youngest one on the team. I think I was like 46, 47 at the time. And it went all the way up to 75 years old. And like, we had age weighted it out that in 24 hours, we only had to do like 60 miles.
Only.
We show up and oh no, it was way out of our for our head. But we had geocached the park before, so we kind of knew what was happening. Right. We didn't know we were going to go on the scary trails.
Okay, so it was like hilly and
hilly, muddy. There's a little boardwalk. You had to little like single plank that you could run, or you could run through the water. Marshy. It was crazy. But tell you what. When sunrise came up the next day, all 8 of us were sitting there and a light just switched in us. We were like, we're hooked. We can do this. Nobody can tell us that we can't do something.
So now all right. So you went from the 5K and then you started doing this geocaching stuff. And did you take the normal like 5K, 10K, half marathon?
5K straight to 5K straight to ultra relay.
I love that.
Never
I love
said
that.
I had common sense.
All right. But no, I mean, you did it in a relay. So when you say relay, did you each have one portion or were you able to kind of rotate through all 8 people?
We could rotate through. Since I was like the seasoned runner at a 5K, I took a couple more laps. I think I ended up for the day doing maybe 13 to 20 miles of the relay, on and off. And I was better at staying awake at night, so I did some of the night ones.
Yeah.
We were just a mess. It was just
they must have loved having you guys there, though, I bet.
Of hobbling and wobbling and getting it done.
But that's great. And so you taste the finish line for something like that, and it gave you sort of a hunger and appetite to keep going.
Yes. And I saw people of all shapes, sizes, out there getting it done, and I'm like, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Said someday I'm going to come back and I'm going to do one of these big boy races, and might not do it well, but I'm going to finish it. Okay,
so I mean, geez, you got into this thing both feet, right? I mean, from 2016 finishing your and you've tried the 100K twice before. So was there like a 50K in there? I mean, was there more relays? I mean,
what I decided to do is. Because I really didn't have anybody that I knew. I thought distance runners were like 110 pounds and nobody would talk to me, right? So I decided to do a half marathon in all 50 states. And those were my training runs. Okay. And then I do 1 or 2 ultras a year. Now, I don't recommend that plan really to anyone. It's not very smart. The first time I did an ultra, I made it to the 50K, so I knew I was going to get a medal because it was a 24-hour race. Okay. And then I'm like, I'm going to try to do the 100K, just see how far I could go. I made it to 40 miles and could not walk for 2 weeks. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was really bad. But
you pushed yourself, right? I mean, you pushed yourself that was as far as you can go at that point in time.
But it was every ounce of me to get to that 40 miles. But then
now, and 100K is 62, right? I mean, that's
But being the super shy person that I am, I bugged everyone. I asked every ultra runner, how do you do this? What socks do you wear? What shoes do you wear? They probably were hanging up phones. No, not her.
Run the other way.
Run the other
questions.
way.
She has questions.
Yes,
But in reality, and you kind of joke about that, I think, because I think in reality, and I find when I talk to ultra runners, it's almost like the longer you run, the nicer and more tight knit the community together, and
They're my people.
and they all help, and it's like. You'd almost think like they have this little niche of the world that's crazy and psychotic in ways, and that they wouldn't want other people to kind of enter their world. But there's it's like it literally is. As the longer distance runners you get, the more friendly they are. I think it's just that everyone realizes how much effort each individual needs to put forth in order to accomplish the things that you guys are accomplishing. And so, therefore, you're all winners. You all fight the same battles, and you all, so you might as well just share the knowledge. And, for someone like you to go into that world without like kind of doing that building stage in the middle, that half marathon, full marathon, just jump in with those. I give it to you. That's courage, I think.
Well, what's special about the race that I just finished my 100K, Courtney Bird, who's the race director for Wild Things, was at the very first ultra that we did the relay at. So she saw this group of old ladies in tutus, not knowing what they were doing. We thought it was a big party. We were grilling. We were having a blast.
That's great.
Goes, yep, I remembered you guys. So I've known her for a long time. So that's the reason it was really special that I finally completed it on her race.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, I mean, all right. So then your first attempt then, was that the 50K then? Is that what you consider your first attempt, was the 50K that you extended? And so
I thought I'd go a little bit longer and see and I made it to 40 miles after
So you run 40 miles you run 40 miles and you get that done, and you said you're in pain for 2 weeks. What makes somebody decide after going through that that they want more?
Because somebody told me I couldn't do it. And I'm
Isn't
like, I'm
great?
old, I'm a homemaker, and I have lots of time on my hand. I can do it.
That is awesome. And I got to tell you, I hear probably about 20% of the stories that I hear, people get motivated by that sort of that negative energy that someone told them that you can't do it, or they laughed at them, or they said, my favorite is, you don't have a runner's body, right? And it's like, what?
Yeah.
And that somehow that, I know it happened to me, and I just remember doing my long training runs and thinking, I got to keep running because that person doesn't think I can. And it can drive you. I think at a certain point, it gets a little too negative. And I remember actually when I trained for my first marathon, during the marathon, I never once thought about the negative because it was just such a great day and the race was such a great day. But when in training, that negative energy really fed me. So does it continue to feed you now, or are you kind of over that now?
I'm over it now. Yeah. My goal in life is, anyone who wants to do something. If I have a friend that she was in her 60s and she wanted to do a 50K, and I said, let's go do it. We'll go do it, and I'll be there by your side. I want everyone to succeed.
Now, was there any kind of is there any magic for you about like doing a marathon? Was there any? It seems like there wasn't. Like you just were like 50 is a nice round number. Let's go after 50K. Was it?
Well, I didn't do a marathon until after I'd completed a 50K. Right. So I just hit that distance.
So you there's no magic in the marathon for you. It's more.
No. And then I decided I'm never doing a marathon really again because, just a little bit further and it's an ultra. So.
Yeah, you might as well. You might as well just do a few more miles. I ran a race. I'm going to tell my own story when I have a guest on the podcast. So I ran a race in Fort Lauderdale, a marathon, and we ran a quarter of a mile, and a freight train went across the marathon route. So they stopped the race. A few people jumped in front of the train and just barely. It was really scary. Like it was a freak thing, and the train wasn't supposed to be there. So they actually called us all the way back, and they restarted the race. So we ran a quarter of a mile. They called us all back, restarted the race. So that day I ran 26.4 miles. So I consider that an ultra marathon.
Well, you're an ultra marathoner, yeah, exactly.
Thank you. I got an official stamp of approval there.
Yes, I'm giving it to you.
Thank you. So let me talk about. All right. So you do the 50K race, and you wind up doing 40 something miles, which is it's probably like 75K, something like that. And then you go to do the 100K for your first time. Now I know, I know that you didn't finish, but what was there? What was going into that race, did you feel like you could make it? Was your training good? Was it? I mean, what happened?
The problem is I didn't know what it was going to be like to be past 40. I knew I had trained myself up to get past the 40 miles because
I thought you meant years old. I'm like,
yeah.
Right.
I mean, I didn't know what I was doing, but I'd asked a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
And I went into it thinking I was trained, and I made it to about 50 miles, and I realized that I'd trained my body to do it because I'm pretty recovered right now.
Yeah.
But mentally, I didn't have it.
Really?
And so that's where I lost it. It's when it got dark and I was by myself out there. I didn't have it past the 50 miles.
And so I think about that. Yeah. So I've been running for 6 years, and I think about that sometimes, like getting into, I've never really run on trails, and I definitely haven't run. I mean, it gets a little chilly or a little dark, and I go inside on the treadmill. So what is it when you're out there by yourself and it's dark? I mean, you got a headlamp, right?
Yep.
And, I think about like wildlife. I think about just out there alone and making sure that you're on the right path when you're supposed to be.
Yeah, getting lost and
like, what is it? Well, I mean, how does it feel when you're just out there by yourself?
I mean, it was lonely because you can't train for that. I mean, I'll tell you what the turning point for this race was. Dan helped me, and he says, I'm never any help. I mean, that is just not true. You can get inspiration from every corner. He said, Tamra, you need to carry a little hand pocket. And he goes, when you get really down and it's really late at night, you open that up and you look yourself in your eye this next time and ask yourself, are you really ready to quit? And this race, pulled it out a couple times, and I'm like, nope, I'm not ready to quit. Put the hand pocket away and keep going.
So, wow, and Dan coming through.
Yes, he did. He checked on me during the race.
Yeah, he was keeping us up to date. Yeah, he was. I kept checking his page. He was keeping us up to date, and now you're doing.
But that first time, I didn't have that knowledge. I mean, it's funny. You'd think it would be, you need to eat so and so and keep your electrolytes up, but really, it was just about convincing my head that I was there, and I didn't know how to do the headspace the first time.
Now, were you in physical pain at that point, or was it just your mind telling you like, just, all right, yeah, this sucks. I'm good for today and done.
Well, you're always going to be in physical pain,
yeah.
But it's, that's just a given. But I mean, it's that flight or, fight response, and your body's just like, it's time to quit. You need to tell your body, nope, it's not time to quit. You're sore. You haven't hurt yourself.
Right. So now you, all right. So you DNF this race and you're.
Well, technically it was a 24-hour race. So
okay. So
the 50.
You didn't get you didn't get as far as you wanted. So what were you thinking? I mean, was it like immediate when you're like, all right, I didn't finish. I didn't do exactly what I wanted. And
I was crushed.
So you took some time to kind of, or was it like, I need to come back and do this again?
The very next day I went out and I ran the remainder of the distance. And that's when I knew that it was in my head that I just needed to get it all together under one roof. That's
right. Right. So, I mean, you're really close. So then do you sign up for the race right away and just?
No, I had to take a little time and reset myself and figure out the plan, I needed this winging it stuff had to stop.
Yeah. Oh, I know that.
So I actually started volunteering at a lot of ultras.
Okay.
And just getting a wealth of knowledge. Some, people that I saw that were struggling, like, how did you get through this? What did you eat? When did you eat? And got some help picking the right race.
Yeah. And you just kind of immerse yourself in the, in the community and learn that way. And you can sort of just, you just absorb what everyone else is doing. And it helps you. Well, I'm sure it helps you mentally to get over those hurdles.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just went in full force. I mean, you need a blister popped, I'm your gal. You need.
Where were you on my Ironman day?
I'll do it. I'm like, I'm going to learn all of this so I know how to do it.
Yeah. Oh, man. I mean, there's a lot of things in these races that you see blisters and, cramps and a lot of pain.
And I asked everybody. I also found out, I thought that you had to go do 40-mile long runs once a month. Right. And I found out from a couple heavier runners that back-to-back on tired legs is the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, you wind up doing like a Saturday and a Sunday, right? Is that,
Yeah.
and you do a long run Saturday, a long run Sunday.
And sometimes it'd be going out at night, practice that night stuff, practice,
Right.
with poles if you think you need it. You don't just show up on race day with them.
Wow. All right. So now coming into this race this weekend, right? How are you feeling going in? Are you feeling like this is the day you're going to do it? Are you feeling, is there a little puzzle in your head? Like a little, is there a little concern that, hey, something went wrong last time. I hope it doesn't go wrong again. When the gun goes off, what is in Tamra Johnson's head?
I felt so much better prepared for this race than I did any other one.
Yeah.
That I just said I was going to go until if I had to crawl across the finish line, it was going to happen this time.
Yeah. And it never got that far.
No.
But it seemed like, so just in watching and getting Dan's updates, it seems like you were going kind of at a pretty even pace through at least, I mean, I think like I blinked and probably like the last 15 miles went by and I don't know if maybe Dan was a little bit late on the, or maybe I didn't see it. That's probably what happened. I didn't see it. And it's like I blinked and those last 15 miles went by and the next thing I knew you had finished. Well,
Courtney had helped me kind of pace myself earlier on because it was pretty warm out.
Yeah.
This race was in Florida. And then when it cooled down nighttime, I put a podcast on and took off for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of it in chunks.
Uh-huh.
And she made sure that my nutrition and...
so how was the race set up? How, like, is it loops?
Yeah, it was a looped course. It's in Ocala, Florida.
Uh-huh.
And I think it was about 2 miles. So
that's it.
It's a little bit draining in itself because the races I'd done before were longer.
Right.
So it was hard not sitting down every time you came into the aid station.
Beware the chair, right? That's something that you guys say.
Yes,
that's something beware the chair. You sit down, you don't get up again. But 2 mile loop. That's I run the trail near me sometimes and it's 3 miles. And even just if I want to do a 9 mile run, sometimes I avoid that trail because once I get, I do it twice and I'm right near my car. I guess similar to the chair, right? It's like, exactly. But the car is right there. Why do I want to go back out? A mile and a half that way.
The perfect ultra is like a 7 mile loop or point to point. I like those because then you can't get out of it.
With the aid stations in the middle so you can kind of just pass by and you have a little team. Yeah, those are great. I get it. I can't say things on my podcast like, oh, I want to do one because then people will make me do it and I'll regret it. But you're winning me over here. And I'm like, I knew I shouldn't have had you on. But you know what it is? I love, you have a great vibe about you. You have this lively, you don't care what other people think. You go and do you go and do it and you don't quit, meaning, obviously you didn't finish the race the one time, but I mean, you didn't quit. You went right back after it again and
I just kind of did a really long training run.
I mean, it's incredible, but it's incredible what you do. And it's incredible that you get out there in the middle of the night and continue, and I think what happens too is a lot of times because we're so, immersed in our communities. I mean, I'm sitting there at the New York City Marathon watching all these people finish and they're all just walking around like, another marathon. And I'm like, this is the New York City Marathon. We kind of but it's really impressive. Your journey here that you've gone from 5K in 2016 to 100K in 2020 is just incredible. Do you ever just stop and say, oh my God, how far have I come?
Yeah. Well, I also
you should be so proud.
I went back out with my mother-in-law because she's 70 years young and I just got her this year started into running. I drug her out to the race and she wanted to do a 10K. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back out there with you. So I was done with my 100K and we went out and we did the 10K.
Wow.
Of course, we ugly cried after that too. But then I'm like, oh, now I'm not too far from the 100 miler. So.
That was one of my next questions.
I'm thinking, that might be on my radar. You never know.
That was one of my next questions is where does Tamra go from here? Is there what's on the radar is there more to reach for you? Or is it another 100K? Or is it just improving? Or is it just, hey, just get to the finish line again the next time? Where are you just taking some time to savor it? And
I don't know. I think a check mark by the 100 mile would be kind of nice.
Yeah.
I mean,
100K, 100 miles.
I might as well try.
I think that's great. And I mean, you have your eyes set on any particular race or any particular.
Well, I do like that Badger medal.
Uh-huh.
From the 10 junk miles. That was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So
you got your.
I'm not gonna do that one.
You got your eyes on that one. And any idea when that's going to be, or? I mean, that's still more. Is that a lot of? I mean, I don't even know, since I'm not really in. You know, I haven't trained for that jump, that 100K to 100 miles.
It's quite a bit of training, so
Yeah.
it's just going to depend on if I want to take a year off. But like I said, I'm not getting any younger, so I can't put it off too much.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that terrible? We all get to that point. It's like but yeah, and you don't want to lose. You know what? You take a year off, you lose. So it's such a terrible
Well, I do have
question.
a 50K in March. I'm going to do the pistol.
That's nothing for you, though. That's
my recovery run.
Well, you know, I mean, I'll tell you, sometimes I get, and maybe this is some place where you don't have sort of that impediment, but I mean, it seems like, all right, you went after 100K, this was your third time, and you got it. And, you know, a lot of people kind of hit that, all right, you got it, and you're happy, and, you know, yeah, and you might in the back of your head thought, yeah, maybe there's more after this, but, you know, you just wind up taking a break, like you hit that training wall. Do you think is that an impediment for you right now, or are you just still full force ahead?
I just love it so much. I mean, it's my therapy. It's my happy place. It's hanging out with my people.
Yeah.
You know, I think I'd be lost without it, honestly.
Yeah. And I love that too, is when you can kind of intertwine training with your casual everyday life, it makes it so much easier. You know, and you talk to people that train, and yeah.
In all honesty, because I'm also doing the 50 states, doing a half marathon in all
How many
states.
have you ticked off for that?
I'm at 26 right now.
26. Have you done like Connecticut or Mass? You have come to New England at all?
No, not yet.
Oh,
I'm planning on doing a 4-day series up there. So
all right, you got to let us know. Yeah, you're in my hood.
I just don't get the same thrill out of the half marathon.
It's still a good crowd, though. But I mean, yeah. I mean, at this point, you're like, 13
I do
miles.
like it when my friends meet up and we can hang out and it's fun, you know?
Yeah, that's great. But how many have you done? You said 26?
Well, 26 states.
Okay.
I've done about 54, 55 half marathons total.
Oh, okay. I'm like 54
I've
states.
done some more in my state.
So what's the next race on your schedule? Is it another half then, or?
I'm doing the Rock and Roll New Orleans.
Yep.
And then I'm doing Tobacco Road, which I've done that numerous times. That's like
North Carolina.
my favorite little hometown race.
Yeah. We have a lot of people. We got a lot of folks from North Carolina. A lot of people run that race and say good things about it. I know Ray Magana is always there. What was I going to ask you? I had something on my head, but I totally forgot. Totally spacing. Well, we're doing our Team Ordinary race in Atlantic City. I don't know if you've checked off New Jersey yet, but we are doing the Rock and Roll in Atlantic City in May, which would be awesome to meet you there if we can squeeze it onto your schedule.
If it works.
Yeah, that would be awesome. But I tell you, I've seen you post on Facebook on a number of different pages and just watching your story. I've never spoken to you before, so I think we've texted a couple times, but and it's not like I think you do social media right. Like you're not like in your face, like here I am, here's my blog. It's just look. It's like kind of like I got that. You're very honest. You're very.
I feel the failure parts is just as important as the look what I did.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be on Marathon Investigation or anything like that.
No.
It's like you'd sooner you'd sooner just tell everyone that you failed than than cheat. I mean, but I think I think accomplishing your 100K is an incredible feat, and I think
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing what you can do next, because that 100-mile, that's a challenge.
I think it's getting close.
I think you can do it.
There.
I think you can do it. I think
might not be pretty, but I might be able to do it.
Yeah, you're doing it. I sense in your voice. It's there. You've got a race. So when you think of going from 100K to 100 miles, and you think, I mean, is it just more volume? Is it more, like, is it just more, you're just training more miles? I mean, I almost think like if you just continue training as you're training, it probably will just extend yourself.
Stay at the level you're at, but you train. It's your head.
Yeah.
It's not getting in your head. That's what you got to train, is your headspace.
Yeah, and those races, once you start, how long did it take you to do this one, the 100K?
It was 23 hours and some change.
Yeah, and I don't have any reference points there. I don't have any reference points to like what, but obviously, and I know like, so we have a couple people doing Leadville this year, and when they put it on the calendar, it's like August 22nd and 23rd.
Yeah, those people are amazing. I'm not quite at that caliber.
You're like what, 20 minutes away there from getting into a 2-day race. We gotta work on that.
I'm just a baby ultra marathoner.
But listen, I think it's really great what you're doing, and we wish you the best of luck, and we hope you keep going.
Oh, thank you. And hopefully we'll race together sometime.
I would absolutely love that. Like I said, you have this vibe that's just like, it's very infectious. It's
well, I'm trying to talk everyone into doing Eagle Up in 2021.
What is that one?
That's my redemption race. That's the race that I didn't make it to 100K.
You got to get Dan DeMore out there.
Oh, he's already promised. He promised my husband he was coming.
All right.
But you should come too.
Where is that one? Where is that one?
It's in Canton, Ohio.
All right. That's actually not so bad. Not so bad.
It's close to you. You can.
And it's not close to me, but
50K, so you'll get the official ultra marathon bling.
Oh man. I can't tell my wife.
Yes is only 3 letters.
I can't tell my wife that I'm training for an ultra marathon. I got to keep that under wraps for a while.
Just tell her you're training for a marathon, and then just show up for the extra miles.
Oh well. Yeah. Oops. I thought I missed the first 5 letters, the ultra part. Awesome. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on the show, Tamra. I really appreciate it. And thanks for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
And we wish you the best of luck going forward. It's an incredible journey you're on. And I think, I don't know, I've seen you post for like the last year, and you probably didn't know that. It's not like, I noticed them, and I'm like, wow, that lady's she's doing it. She's, kicking butt, and she doesn't care. She just goes after it. So I just, I want to make sure that you knew that, sometimes you post things out there and you don't think anyone's reading it, or you don't think, that you're doing anything. But I think, folks like you and folks like, there's plenty of people like you, out there doing it and writing about it and showing people that, you can start in 2016, you can start and you can just run to your mailbox, and then 4 years later you can run 100K. I think it's incredible. And
I can do it. Anybody can do it.
Keep setting the example, because you're amazing. You're an amazing person. So thank you, Tamra Johnson, for being on the show.
Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. We'll wrap it up here, guys. And I have a couple guests lined up for the next couple weeks. We'll be bringing them in. And I had a really fun time today. This was really great. And remember, every day is an ordinary day unless you make it extraordinary. So get after it, guys.